Well, friends, another rampage shooting by a nutbag down in Jacksonville, Florida. A masked man fatally shot 3 people inside a Jacksonville, Florida Dollar General store in a predominantly African-American neighborhood on Saturday in an attack where he used a gun painted with a swastika, officials said. The shooter, who had also posted racist writings, then killed himself. Jacksonville sheriff told a news conference that the attack that left 2 men and 1 woman dead was definitely, quote, racially motivated. Quote, he hated black people, Waters said after reviewing the man's writings, which were sent to federal law enforcement officials and at least one media outlet shortly before the attack. He added that the gunman also acted alone and there is obviously no evidence the shooter is part of any larger group. Waters said the shooter was in his 20s, used a Glock handgun and an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle. I've heard it called an AR-15 style weapon, but it is an AR-15. He was wearing a bullet-resistant vest. Now, I've not seen pictures of this vest yet. Don't know if it's simply a plate carrier with no plates, but nevertheless, it's probably there for a reason, if you know what I mean. He said the shooter had once been involved in a 2016 domestic violence incident and was once involuntarily committed to a mental hospital for examination. He did not provide further details on those incidents. According to reports, this happened around 2 p.m. at the Dollar General store, but the suspect had gone to the Edgewater University, which is a historically black university right down the road on that same street. And the university said that when he got there, he was questioned as to his identity, who he was, what he was doing there. He refused to answer, so they refused him access to the university. Thank God for that. And he was then asked to leave. He returned to his car. They say that's where he put on his, quote, mask and bulletproof vest, as they call it. And then he drove down to the Dollar General a few blocks down the road. Now, they say shortly before the attack, the shooter sent his father a text message telling him to check his computer. The father found the writings, and the family notified 911, but the shooting had already begun. Now, the things I want to point out in this are the obvious things. This guy was a scumbag. This guy was a piece of crap. This guy was your prototypical nutbag, clearly, based on his history, that was hell-bent on killing people. Now, he may have been manipulated. Let's use some words that will keep this video from getting deleted and keep me from getting deleted off of YouTube. Does anyone else find it peculiar that he sent something to the FBI, federal officials? It's almost like he had a relationship with those federal officials. Is this common? Is it common for killers to send something directly to a federal office? I get that he sent something to his parents. I get that he sent something to the media. This has happened before. But to the federal officials. And you can best believe we're going to find out what's in this manifesto. They're already talking about it. It's probably be out by Monday. How come we don't see a manifesto from the racist killer in Georgia, Atlanta, this month or late last month? He went on a killing spree, shot just white people. Now, I'm not taking up for this killer in Jacksonville. I'm telling you that the media has a responsibility to be truthful, and they won't be. You cover all of these shootings the same way, or you don't cover any of them this way. But they are very quick. Notice I eliminated some words whenever I read my opening statement. A masked man fatally shot 3 people inside a Jacksonville, Florida Dollar General store. Notice that the words that I left out, those words are not necessary. You can put those words in the rest of your story. You can actually keep from putting those words in your title. Now, we don't know much more about this particular shooting other than we do have pictures of the Glock. We do have pictures of the AR-15. I got to tell you, just like the Buffalo shooting that we saw, it's highly suspect when these shooters use a firearm and then they use whiteout or whatever they use to paint swastikas and all kind of other nifty little stuff that's been somehow or another, it's the calling card of the white supremacy movement. I find that really odd. It's almost like when you see that, you immediately start to think this probably ain't what they say it is. When we had the Buffalo shooting a couple of years ago, you saw all this stuff, right? All this stuff came out. The guy disappeared. Remember, they picked this guy up alive. The guy disappeared. You don't hear from him. You don't hear anything about the case. But you knew everything about the case. He had a 5 gazillion page manifesto that you knew about like 2 days later. It was out. This guy's manifesto, it's going to be out. Maybe the gentleman over, and I use that word super loosely, but maybe the guy in Atlanta who had a racially motivated killing where he shot all the white people, maybe he didn't have a manifesto. I mean, that's possible. And let's be real clear. Manifestos are not some big formal production that most people make it out to be. A manifesto can simply be an email to somebody. Your thoughts on why you did what you did, a trace of what made you like that, like your thoughts leading up to your murder and things like that. So again, don't think, well, maybe he didn't have a manifesto. So yeah, maybe the Atlanta racially motivated killer did not have a manifesto. I get that. But we had none of this racial stuff thrown into it when this guy was mowing down all people of the opposite race that he clearly had a problem with. It was clear that he was racially motivated, and it was clear that he hated white people. Now, by the same token, let's also look at the fact that the media is not just protecting races. The media is more, let's put it this way. I don't think the media chooses black versus white. I think the media chooses white male, white straight male versus anything else that they protect. And what I mean by that is when we had the Nashville shooter was a white person. They did not mention this person's race. Of course, they killed white people, but nevertheless, they were motivated to kill Christians. This person was probably a non-Christian or was some kind of twisted person. Obviously had a mental problem. My point is they were real quick to protect this white person because they were a trans person. This person found their way into that protected community that the media and the wackos on the far left have that they're trying to use to infiltrate everybody. This was a protected class person. So we had protected class in Nashville, a trans person shooting Christians. We had a protected person in Atlanta, a black person shooting white people. Now we have a non-protected person. This is enemy number one, is a white person. And again, this guy in Jacksonville is a scumbag, but you know everything about him. The other two shootings you won't hear much about. And again, it's not just race. Remember, our Nashville shooter was white. So the media and the wackos on the far left have their group of protected people that they will not talk about negatively in a shooting. And one case in point that I want to make real quick on this. The reason why you know the media is making this a race thing, the media is so quick to talk about, quote, gun violence. They're really quick to talk about that. But if it's a shooting against gay people or if it's a shooting against people of color, it's no longer gun violence, it's racially motivated violence. And you can see that difference in their writings. I'm no genius, I just pick up on this kind of stuff. So they're really quick to eliminate the guns as well. It's not the problem now. Now it's the mind. Let's be really clear about this. In all of these shootings, it is the mind. They are right about this one. They are 100% right. This one does seem like it was racially motivated. That is, if the government didn't orchestrate this entire thing themselves. But it's clearly racially motivated, and it's got nothing to do with guns. And let's also point out the very fact that this guy had a Baker Act against him. If you have a Baker Act against you, you are prohibited from purchasing firearms. And they already said that his parents did not like guns. Sounds like they were gun control people. Did not like guns, did not want them in the house. He did live with his parents. So this guy got his guns illegally. Let's make that very, very clear. The cry is going to be that we need to outlaw AR-15s and handguns, of course. But this guy did not obtain these firearms legally. He was a prohibited person based on the law. And this guy, again, did not have them, his parents, he did not take them from his parents because they were not gun owners. We need to be very clear that we don't let the media mess us up on this. And what I mean by that is logical people like us, like me, like you. The media does this on purpose. Divide in this country is very important to the media because it sells papers, gets clicks on websites, and division is certainly important to this administration, the White House, Joe Biden and his crew, his handlers. It's very important to them. So this type of shooting is super, super important to them. Now, make no mistake, I will say this again, the shooter was a scumbag. The shooter deserved to be shot. I wish somebody else would have shot him so he would have known what it felt like. He shot himself. He ended his own life as he exited the Dollar General. But I'm not defending this shooter because he's garbage. I wonder, though, why the media and politicians defend these other shooters like the one in Atlanta and the one in Nashville. None of us should be defending mass shooters or rampage killers, as I call them. Now, one last point that I would like to make. This guy went into this Dollar General because it was an easy target, right? Walk in, general public goes in there. He killed his victims inside that Dollar General like a scumbag coward. Further proof of this scumbag coward is that as he was exiting the Dollar General, he saw police arriving, and that's when he went back inside and put a bullet to his own head. What a cowardly way to go. Retreat, escape, and then kill yourself in a cowardly exit from this world that you just made worse by ending the life of innocent people. This is on you, far left, and this is on you, media. Had you not worked so hard and so diligently to demonize firearms, to demonize people who carry firearms so people don't want to own firearms for fear that they fall into this category of being some kind of a far-right wacko. If you guys had not worked so hard on that, we might have had people in this Jacksonville, Florida area that felt better about carrying firearms and could have ended this killer's rampage before he shot the first person. Had he drawn on somebody that was carrying, or somebody else in the store was carrying, when he drew on that first person, this could have been ended right away. But you guys have blood on your hands because you continue to try to convince people that it's the wrong thing to do to have guns and to possess guns and to train with guns and to carry guns, that you are doing your absolute best to disarm the general population out there. You are going to be responsible for this kind of stuff. This is a result of you guys' efforts. And until you correct those ways, this is going to get worse because you have finally convinced people, and these are weak-minded followers, mind you, but you have finally convinced people that owning a gun is a bad thing.
God save the Queen, man.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
He's so